All right, so each of the shapes we're going to be looking at are going to be based off of one of the scale tones. So the first shape we'll look at is based off the G, which is the root. And the next one will be the A, which is the second, the B, which is the third, the C, which is the fourth, the D, which is the fifth, the E, which is the sixth, and the F sharp, which is the seventh. And each of these could be built in just different ways because of the shifting that happens with the tuning of the guitar. But we're going to look at a specific method that I had learned back in my school days, and then we'll explore some of the other options that are out there. And one more thing to note is that with each of these tones that we're building off of, there's what we call a mode that goes along with it. And so I'm going to be referring to these crazy sounding names like Ionian and Dorian and Phrygian. And we're not going to study in depth the modes, but I wanted to give you a framework for what the modes in their basic sense are, and so that you can study them some more if that's something that interests you. So let's go ahead and get started with the scale that's built on the root or G. And that is the Ionian mode. So it's the first shape we're going to have. And our first note is at G here. We're going to look at it on the tab first. And truly, it's actually in the fourth position here. So our first finger would be at the fourth fret, but we're going to be reaching down to the third fret. So it's technically in the what they call the fourth position on the guitar, these four frets, but we're actually reaching down out of the position to actually get the notes in the key. And we also have kind of a crazy stretch that you may not have tried before. And what it is you're actually going to be stretching between two frets with your first and second finger. If you don't think you can do it, we're going to talk about some ways to make that stretch here in a moment. But let me demonstrate the scale. Alright, so a couple ways to be able to make that big old stretch, because we're going to be doing this several times, is to get your thumb. A lot of guys like to ride their thumb up here, and that's fine if you're playing a D chord or some open stuff, or just some simple scales. But to make that stretch, what has to happen is we have to allow our hand to spread out. And so if you have your hand like this, your fingers can't spread out. So what we want to do is drop our thumb down behind the neck, let it be about in the middle of the neck or so, parallel with your middle finger, and it almost acts like a pivot where you can move back and forth. All right, and that allows you to spread your fingers out. And I don't have very long fingers, so if I can make this stretch, you can make this stretch. So again, we're not up here trying to play. We actually drop our thumb down and spread out. And we kind of pivot as we go. And if you notice, my fingers stay down for the most part until I'm about to go to the next one, and that just creates a smoother transition between notes. It's more legato, as they say in music. All right, let's look at this now in terms of our fingers, because if you remember when I talked about the pentatonic, I'm a visual person. I like to remember, I like to see diagrams, and actually remembering where my fingers go is helpful. Now when you spread out like this, it can be a little tougher to remember. But with the tab, we looked at just the fret numbers, 3, 5, 7, and so on. Well, now let's think of it with our fingers, and it's 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, and so that's parallel. That's something to remember. So we have 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. And then we have another 1, 2, 4, but this time we're not spread out. And again, another one. And then we do this thing with our second and fourth finger. That's probably the toughest thing to remember. And then we're stretched back out for that part of the scale. So again, 1, 2, 4, stretched out. 1, 2, 4, stretched out. 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. And then again, you hit the top note and head back down. And again, I'm using alternate picking. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. and so on. So once you get the left hand working, start concentrating on the right hand to get that alternate picking going on.